Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 2 of the World with Nate podcast. This podcast was created to shed light on some of the stories and lessons that we accrued during our time here. My hope is that those stories will bring us all together in this thing that we all call life. My hope for this podcast episode is that you find it both enlightening and enjoyable. So, sit back and relax. I want you to enjoy the ride. Special thanks to my friend Buck Kern of Hawkeye Storage and Consulting for helping me bring Season 2 of The World with Nate to YouTube. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Season 2 of The World with Nate. Today I have another amazing guest with me, all the way from Worthington, Iowa. Jon Ramaekers is with me today, the owner of Farmer's Best Popcorn. I thought it was important to have Jon on because my family consumes an ungodly amount of this exact popcorn. It's produced in my wife's hometown of Worthington, Iowa. I'm interested in the process, and that makes me interested in the people behind the process, and that's Jon. Jon, how'd you make it to Worthington, Iowa?
Yeah, so first of all, I appreciate you having me.
Heck yeah.
Sorry it took so long to get this wrapped up. I'm hard to get a hold of sometimes.
That's okay.
So I grew up in Carroll, Iowa originally.
And that's where for
Western
the listeners?
Iowa,
okay.
So it'd be like straight west of Worthington, I guess.
Okay.
Grew up there. It's about 4 hours away from Worthington, probably 3 hours from here, Cedar Falls. So grew up there in town. My dad's a financial advisor. My mom worked at a hospital as a human resources director, and my grandparents owned the farm in Worthington, so my mom's mom and dad owned the farm, and every summer when I was a little kid, they'd get tired of me and ship me off there.
Yeah.
And I liked it so much, I'd end up spending pretty much my entire summers out there. So a couple months at a time, I just spent with my grandpa and my uncle farming,
Cool.
and fell in love with the farming side of things. So I guess going through high school and stuff, helped farmers around Carroll area. And
When you say help farmers, what sort of things are we talking about?
so I helped a bigger cattle guy that raised cattle. So I just do, help with chores and field work and stuff like that. And I guess I had always kind of planned on being a farmer someday, but without having the ground to do it, it's pretty much impossible. So, I mean, pretty much every farmer, especially in this area, you can't start from scratch. You have to be born into it or just get really lucky. So,
and why, for the people who aren't from this area, because I understand that.
Yeah.
My grandparents had a farm, had to sell to move to town.
Right.
What is the reason behind that?
It's just good old Iowa farm ground around here. Everybody wants a part of it, so it's good fertile ground. It grows good corn and beans, and our weather is just perfect for growing that stuff. So land brings a premium, and it makes it really hard for younger guys to just get in. I mean, you can't just walk off the street and just get started farming.
Right.
So leading into that, I guess I went to college then for a couple of years for ag business, and again, still kind of knew I wanted to farm. And then after that, I went to work for a co-op. So I ran a sprayer and spread fertilizer for a couple of years in Cascade. Okay. So that was just close. South of Worthington. I moved to Worthington after college, and then sprayed for a couple of years. Got a lot of good knowledge doing that. Learned a lot, and then kind of just, wanted to do my own thing, I guess, and knew I still wanted to farm, but again, it was hard to come by ground. Granted, I was helping my uncle at the time. It's a small farm that my mom grew up on. It was a dairy farm. There's nothing, no livestock around there anymore, but uncle basically took me under his wing. He doesn't have any kids or wasn't married or anything, and gave me the opportunity to farm.
Heck yeah.
So
very fortunate.
Yeah,
for that.
I mean, like I said, without that, I wouldn't be farming. So you're just kind of screwed in today's, and it's only getting worse.
And it sucks because we're losing out on family farms by the day. It seems.
Yeah, and with ground, they're not making any more of it. I mean, it's definitely a finite resource, and with the way things go nowadays, you get a lot of outside investors that come in and buy up the ground for an investment opportunity. They have nothing to do with agriculture at all. But that just drives the price up for guys like me that trying to get started. And that's why you see a lot of older farmers, because they're the only ones that can afford to do it. And a lot of times they don't want to pass the torch, but you just got to appreciate the guys that do a lot. I mean, so my uncle, he just passed away just recently.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so which was kind of a big blow to me, but because basically he was a father figure to me. I mean, my dad was great, but I mean, this guy, my uncle, I mean, he didn't have any kids.
Torch.
Yeah, didn't have any kids, and so he took me under his wing as his own son, basically, and taught me everything about farming and everything. So, yeah, that was kind of sucky to lose him for sure. But without him helping me get started, I wouldn't be farming, which is what I want to do. And I mean, growing up, grew up in town and had a lot of people tell me, like, don't expect to be a farmer, and that kind of drove me to want to farm even more.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, and then I've got another landlord right next to me. Was the same situation, no wife or kids, never been married, just a bachelor, and he just happened to be quitting farming when I moved there. And I asked him to rent his ground, and he told me no at first. He said, no, I've got other people that are interested in it. And he didn't know me from a bale of hay hardly, because I just moved back. And a couple days later, he came back and he said, you know what? He said, all these other guys that are wanting to rent my ground, they've got plenty of ground, and he said, I'll let you rent it. So I mean, that was huge for me. I mean, that doesn't.
It's a shoe in the door.
Yeah, and it was right next door, which never happens. And I mean, most time, if you get lucky, you might have to drive half an hour, 30 miles away to find ground like that and find an opportunity. But to farm something right next door to where we're already farming is just
invaluable, right?
Yeah. So
heck yeah.
So it was huge.
People were looking out for you.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, he didn't know me. He didn't have to do that. He didn't hardly know me from a bale of hay. But I kind of just told him I'm a young farmer trying to get started, and he's like, yeah, I'll give you a chance. So
sometimes people will take those chances.
Yeah, right. And you got to have people like that. That's the only way that happens. So yeah.
It's important. And then once we can be successful, we can lend that hand back to the next generation.
Exactly. So, I mean, definitely, I'm not going to be the 90-year-old farmer that's out there, just giving it all. You got to pass it on.
Got to pass the torch.
Yeah, for sure.
It's probably we're not there yet, so I'm sure it's a hard pill to swallow.
Right, exactly. And I can feel for those guys that are out there. They don't want to quit farming, but
it's some of those old timers, you see them at Sunday Mass or whatever, wherever you see them, Hardee's. And it's like that's ingrained in them.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I understand that, but I mean, at a certain point, you can still do the day-to-day stuff and still enjoy it, but you got to pass, the knowledge, everything else on to the next generation.
Or else it's going to be lost.
It will. Yeah,
we're going to be up a creek. At some point.
I mean, what's happening is everything's switching to corporate farming really fast. So,
and that benefits no one.
No,
it benefits corporate.
Yeah, which will drive up food costs in the long run,
and we're not
a lot of
premium,
other things.
Premium product.
Yeah. So I mean, they're going to be going for just farm as much as they can and make as much money as they can. I mean, and at the end of the day, that's everybody's goal, is to be profitable. But with the smaller guys, I mean, they take a lot more pride in their stuff for sure.
Yeah, hell yeah. And you can put some of your flavor on it.
Yeah.
Like something that I was kind of ignorant to before, I had asked you, the corn that you plant, is it any different from this?
Yeah, and that's not ignorant. I mean, I get that question. That's probably the most frequently asked question. And I mean, to be honest with you, until I got into college, I mean, I was kind of in the same boat. You're like, where does popcorn come from? How is it different than regular corn? So it is different. The regular corn you see out growing in fields across Iowa, it would be called dent corn. Dent, yeah. Okay. So a different type of corn.
Okay, so that's what they're feeding cows, and that's what is turned into ethanol.
Right.
And that's what...
So it's got a super high starch content, but it doesn't have as hard of a shell as popcorn does.
Okay.
So the hard outside shell, that's actually what gives popcorn the ability to blow up and pop, because it holds the little bit of moisture that's in the popcorn. It holds it so tight, and then it steams when you're cooking it, and then it blows up. So if
we didn't know we'd be getting a science lesson
Yeah, right.
today.
So-
the how popcorn works.
Yeah, and there's some cool videos out there of like super slow mo, like really high quality videos of like popcorn cooking. Yeah, and it's really cool. You'll see the little puff of steam come out when it blows up, and yeah, it's kind of neat.
Heck
but
yeah.
so the dent corn doesn't have as thick of a hole. So if you went and tried to pop regular corn, it would probably blow open a little bit, but I mean it wouldn't expand enough to So popcorn is a flint corn, and so is like sweet corn is a flint corn.
Okay.
But so popcorn and sweet corn are closer related than dent corn and popcorn are. So, so actually, I get a lot of people asking about cross-pollination when it comes to corn, regular dent corn, and popcorn, because if you plant them next to each other, they can actually cross-pollinate, and you'll get kind of weird stuff going on. But that doesn't happen.
Mutated corn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You won't get that between corn and dent corn and popcorn because they're two different types of corn. But if you plant sweet corn next to popcorn, then you can have some issues
with sweet corn and popcorn.
Yeah, because they're both flint corn, so they're closer related, so they can actually breed together. And then
the stuff you'll learn, right?
I mean, you kind of just didn't think about it.
No,
but
makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so I'm learning a lot of this as I go. I didn't know any of this when I first dove into it, but yeah, so
city kid from Carroll,
right.
buying a popcorn farm,
right? Yeah. So how we came to own Farmer's Best, like I said, I was working in a co-op, and I just told my dad, I was like, I just kind of want to do my own thing, and there wasn't enough ground that I was farming to make it profitable by only farming. I mean, just by growing corn and soybeans, I wouldn't have. It's not enough ground to do that. So
to make anything,
right? Yeah, and especially when commodity prices were at the time, they were a lot lower. So it just, I mean, I farmed 300 acres now total, and that's really small. I mean, I think
opposed to what everybody else is doing. Is that what you're talking about?
Not necessarily. I mean, there's a scale as far as what the national average for a small, medium, and large farm. I think a small farm is anything less than like 2,500 acres.
Holy smokes.
That's a lot of ground.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see how those numbers have grown over the years.
Right, exactly.
Because 2,500 acres is an obscene amount.
Right. So, I mean, even 300 acres on a really profitable year, it's hard to make ends meet for a single guy to, make money just doing that. That's why you'll see a lot of these smaller farmers that are farming, 100, 200 acres, whatever. Most of them have jobs in town too.
Yeah,
because
driving a bus or fixing cars.
Right. And on the profitable years, it's good, and it's easy to do. But when commodity prices suck, basically you'll hear them all say, I'm working just to farm, just to fund my hobby, farming.
Farm, yeah. And I have heard that sentiment.
Yeah. So, like I said, that makes it hard with just that acre. So I always had to keep working on the side. And I told Dad, I was like, God, I want to do my own thing. I'm tired of reporting 8 to 5 and listening to somebody else. I kind of just want to, be able to do my own thing. And he kind of said, yeah. He said, I hear you. And he always told me, like I said, he's a financial advisor, and he said,
not farmer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He said, how did he put that? He said, the best way to make money in life is either to own the business or be the top salesman at the company of that business. So I told myself, I'm not a very good salesman. I mean, I know that going into it. I don't have the salesman gene, I guess. So I said, I guess I'll have to own the business. So
you narrowed it down.
So about 6 months later, he came back to me, and he said, hey, one of my clients, this Tom Decker, they owned Farmer's Best.
Okay.
He said he's looking to sell. He said he's not sure what he wants for it, and but he just knows he wants to sell the business. And he's had offers from bigger companies.
Trying to eat it up.
Yeah, they just want to kill the brand.
Yeah.
He said, but I don't want to see that. He said, I put a lot of time and effort. This has been like 10 years into making. He grew popcorn for these bigger companies, and then he started playing this hybrid, knew how good it was, and then he started packaging under his own brand. Yeah. So he had 2 daughters.
This was his baby.
Yeah, for sure. Had 2 daughters, and they weren't really interested in it. And so my dad told him, he said, hey, my son's maybe looking, and it'd be interested in doing something like that. So we went out and met with the Deckers, and I mean, the rest is history, I guess. It just seemed like it was a good fit. It'd be a good way for me to be able to do what I love, but also be my own boss and, start my own business, I guess. So yeah, that's what happened there. And that was 4 years ago now, I guess we did that. So time flies for sure.
Time flies.
Yeah. And when we did it, it was kind of that. It was just a sideline. I mean, the Deckers kind of told me like, oh, just keep your job and you can do this on the weekends and stuff. Well, it quickly grew into something else where I'm the only one who is full-time doing it. But actually now my fiance, she's going to quit her job here and start helping me with the popcorn stuff, the day-to-day stuff. So,
heck yeah.
So, yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
All from just the want to be a farmer.
Yeah, and there's a lot of luck involved there along the way. So, I mean.
Well, you say luck, but
yeah,
maybe there was a bigger hand at play.
Yeah, I suppose. But
there's a lot of pieces that fit real tight in that situation.
But, I mean, I didn't start it from ground up, and I have a real respect for business owners that start from absolutely nothing and build their business to where it is. That takes a lot. I mean, I know what it takes just to acquire a business and grow it, but to start from ground zero, you got to be pretty strong to do that. I mean, you got to be built different for sure.
Yeah. So. It takes a lot, that entrepreneurial stuff.
And just the risk. I mean, there's a lot of risk involved.
A lot of
with
risk
it.
and a lot of naysayers and a lot of critics and a lot.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing. You don't really realize the everyday stuff and especially the stress load that, I mean, you think, oh, that guy runs his own business, he kind of does whatever the hell he wants, but there's a lot of stress that gets piled on top of you. I mean, a lot of sleepless nights where you're wondering, man, do I have enough to cover this and make sure the orders are all in line? And it's a lot of the stuff that goes behind the scenes that people just don't really think about. But
because we're not just talking about farming and growing a crop and getting that to market.
Yeah,
we're talking about because after you grow the popcorn, then you pick it, you dry it, you package it, store it, and ship it.
Right.
That's a whole nother monster.
Yeah, and with the popcorn, it's kind of its own monster, I guess, because with the corn and beans, they have their own set of challenges. But I mean, people have been doing it for years and years and years, so there's a lot of information out there on how to do
established.
It. Yeah, and you can ask the neighbor guy that helps you out, hey, when this happens, what do you do? But with popcorn, they're kind of like, I don't really know.
How many people are growing popcorn?
Yeah, and it's really similar to the dent corn as far as the growing process goes. So we're planting it just like we are the corn.
Same machinery as well?
Yep. So we really don't have any, on the growing side of things, we really don't have any popcorn-specific equipment. There's a few modifications that we made to our equipment that we plant corn and soybeans with and harvest too. But pretty much all the equipment was stuff we had around for corn and soybeans. So, the only thing difference with the corn and the popcorn is the popcorn's a lot more susceptible to weather damage.
Okay.
And
that's stuff we got to worry about here.
Right,
Hail,
for sure.
tornadoes.
Especially the past 2 years, we had the derecho, which didn't affect us too bad. But we had a storm about a month before that leveled our pop. So I've been growing popcorn for 3 years, and so far every year it's been leveled. So
it's hard to make it when you have no popcorn.
Well, yeah. Luckily, it's in the 3 years it's looked worse than it actually was.
Right.
It ended up yielding okay, but it still makes it a challenge, and it's pretty heartbreaking when you come out after every time it was like a 5-minute storm and it just wiped it out.
Yeah.
It's like, gosh, you got so close.
Defeated again.
Yeah. But like I said, we've been lucky that it's been yielding okay. It just
still
makes it a
salvageable.
challenge. Yeah. So, but I still don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if it's just act of God's doing it, or maybe I need to be doing something different. I don't really know yet.
Dude.
So yeah,
take your gamble.
Yeah, exactly. But but other than that, I mean, so it's non-GMO, but we do.
So what does that exactly mean?
So it basically means the seed itself, the hybrid hasn't been modified like a corn or soybean. Most of those are modified to basically they can take different chemicals like Roundup or whatever without killing the plant.
Okay.
So popcorn is just basically a grassroot plant. I mean, we can't spray any chemicals on it that aren't made for grass plants because the popcorn is a grass. So Roundup doesn't get sprayed on our corn because it'll kill it. And there's a lot of other chemicals that we can't spray on it because it'll kill it. So It makes it managing it a little tougher. We use a lot more old school mechanical
methodology.
Yeah, so like row crop cultivating. So basically digging up the dirt in between to kill the weeds and stuff like that. But
a little bit more time intensive?
Yeah, a little
labor?
bit. Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, for sure. And then when we go to combine it, we pick it just like you would regular corn with a corn head. And so we just take the ears in, and then the combine strips all the kernels off the ears and spits all the bad stuff out the back, and then we're left with just popcorn in the tank. So
And then from there, where? Your fields are located in Worthington?
Yep, so right outside of Worthington. So everything we grow is just less than a mile outside of Worthington.
Oh, yeah.
So
right here in Iowa soil.
And we grow everything ourselves. So a lot of the bigger companies, they just don't have the ground to grow that much popcorn. So they pull from all kinds of different states, which is a good and a bad thing, because when we have a weather event, all our eggs are in one basket right there.
Yeah.
So I mean, these other guys, if they have a drought in Iowa, maybe they're growing some popcorn. Have guys growing popcorn in Illinois or whatever, and they might have a great year, so they can pull from there. So it's nice to know, because that we are growing all our own stuff, because we can really control the quality that way. But it's got its own set of disadvantages too. So if we have a dry year or whatever, I mean, you're never guaranteed anything. We could have a drought this year and we could get nothing. So, which makes it challenging. But that's why we try to grow, excess of what we need every year, so we've got some in reserve. Yeah. So after we combine it, we put it in a bin just like we would our corn or soybeans, and then we condition it. So we're trying to get it to the maximum moisture, the effective popping moisture, basically. So with popcorn, it's between 14.5% and 13.5%.
You knew nothing about popcorn.
Yeah.
Prior to starting this, dude.
Google.
John, dude. It's amazing. I learned how to podcast off YouTube.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Taking notes and going through.
The internet is an amazing
Powerful
tool.
if you use it correctly.
Right. Yeah, for sure. But so 14.5 to 13.5%. No, that's all right. Is where we want to be at. So we
inside the kernel.
Yeah, correct.
How do you measure that moisture?
Moisture testers, like the same thing we use for corn and soybeans. So soybeans you want at 13% when you haul them to market, and then corn is 15 to 15.5% is the ideal moisture. Anything over that, and they dock you, because it could spoil. Same with the beans. You can't, anything over 13%, and you get docked on it because it can spoil. And anything less than that, and then you're basically just taking weight. Well, you get paid by weight out of all that stuff. So you're taking water weight out of it, and you're getting paid less in the end. So that's one of the hardest parts, is trying to get the right moisture out of your grain. So, and with popcorn especially, because if it's too wet or too dry, you lose poppability, and it doesn't pop as nice. Yeah, and it doesn't taste as good. I mean, you get it's more of a texture thing than taste, really. But there's
a lot more variables in this than I ever imagined.
Yeah, right. So, and we're pretty low tech as far as it goes on our conditioning. I mean, it's kind of a lot of testing the grain and making sure it's getting close, and then you got to run the fans. There's a fan on the bin that puts air up through the bin, and that's how we dry the corn. So, but you got to make sure it's not too humid outside, and there's a chart we use to determine.
So not only inside the bin, but then you got to worry about the temperature outside, what the weather's doing on the outside.
Because if it's too wet, if it's humid and kind of a crappy day, you might be putting more moisture into the bin when you're trying to take it out.
Than you need.
So, conditioning is a challenge, and like I said, we're low tech in that. I mean, most of the bigger guys probably have automated systems that kick the fans on and off, and those would be kind of handy, but they're pricey. Yeah, someday. Yeah, so
heck yeah.
But after that, it sits in the bin usually until the spring or summertime when it's decent outside. Then we can bring it into our processing facility and clean it.
Which is located where?
Right in Worthington, yep.
Inside the town?
Yep. So it was an old crop production service building, and the stars just kind of aligned there right when we were looking to
I know, that's another piece that was wild.
Buy this business. Yeah. We went back and forth. We're like, well, we want to buy the business, but we're going to have a ton of money wrapped up into building something. And I didn't own any ground. So I was trying to ask, my uncle if I could build something out there. And he's kind of like, yeah, I suppose, he didn't really want to give up any ground either. But he's like, no, I'll help you out and we'll sell you some ground. And then I was like, well, darn, I really don't want it out in the country too bad. Man, it'd be nice if it was in town. So,
because then you got to start thinking about stuff shipping.
Yeah, exactly. Getting live up on top of a hill, and then you got to make sure the snow's all moved when you get a blizzard because it's always a freaking snowstorm up on top there.
Welcome to owning a business, right, John?
Yeah. So then we went through with the town. I was asking, so I met a lot of people in town that way. I was going to city council meetings, like, is there any options for me around here? And they're kind of like, well, we don't have much. much. They're like, we have a couple vacant lots. And they just
You're
weren't
trying to expand and you're contacting city members.
Yeah. Well,
Gotcha.
I was just looking. We couldn't do anything. I knew I wanted to buy the business, but I was like, I gotta have a place for it. So that was the next hard part. And I was looking at other towns around, and I was like, God, I don't want to do it. Have our processing facility 10 miles away.
Right.
I was like, if it was in town, it's right down the road from our farm. It couldn't get any more convenient, and we live in town, so I can walk, to work every day.
Heck yeah.
Just wasn't finding anything. And then this crop production service building, which I knew was for sale, but actually somebody had signed a purchase agreement on it. So I was like, darn, we just missed the boat on it. Well, they ended up backing out of it, and we were able to purchase it.
Hell yeah.
And, we...
Stars aligned.
Yeah, it just worked out really, really well. And we bought it reasonable, and then we stuck a bunch of money into it because it was not ready to be a popcorn production facility. So we had to stick a lot of money into it, getting it ready to go. But once that happened, we moved everything from Rockwell City, which is where they were doing it. Tom and Diane Decker were doing it. Yep.
Okay. And they were the previous owners.
Yep. Then we moved everything over here, and the rest is kind of history. Yep.
Hell yeah, dude! It's so cool.
Yeah.
I can't believe I like it because you weren't a farmer.
Yeah.
And you wanted to do it.
Right.
And you went and you fucking got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was a kid who had every Ertles toy.
Right.
I wanted to be a farmer too. But I got told too many times, you don't have any money and your family can't do it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I had the little shoe in that my uncle farmed, and I mean, I always kind of knew I'd be able to do at some capacity farm, but to do it as basically now a full-time job.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really dreamed I'd be able to do it. I had a lot of drive. I knew I wanted to do that, but the likelihood of that happening was slim to none.
Right.
So,
and like you said, the buy-in nowadays,
Yeah.
millions. We're talking millions of dollars in land prices.
Yeah, and it's not even close to feasible for even the guys that are buying the ground for that. I don't know how they're making money. I can push a pencil pretty hard, and it doesn't make sense to farm it profitably. They're just
hoping that they can make money down the road.
Yeah, I mean, if you could lock in your prices, your sell price and your input prices for 10 years or 20 years, that would then you could make sense. But the way things go, especially in the past 5 to 10 years, everything's so volatile that you can't make any hardcore decisions when it comes to farming.
That's a lot of risk. It seems like in farming.
So
hopefully, administration changes some of that because I don't want to see family farms die.
Yeah.
Being from this area, that's something that it has built our community.
For sure, yeah.
The values, the morals.
Yeah. Well, and just the economy. When farmers are making money,
everything's good.
Farmers spend money too.
Yeah,
so,
new trucks.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, for real. It's our economy.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. Yeah, you can't go anywhere in Iowa without, seeing something with farming. So
heck yeah. And we spoke about how you control the whole process. You plant, grow, pick, dry, package, store, and ship. And I think
we call ourselves seed to shelf. So, I mean, we put the seed in the ground and we load it on the trucks, to get distributed. So
where are some of the places that we're distributing now?
So our big ones are Hy-Vee and Fairway, which is both Iowa based stores. But they branch out into Illinois, and we've got stores in Omaha, Minneapolis, Kansas City, the Hy-Vees that carry our product. So we're really an Iowa based and sold product. We're trying to expand, obviously that's kind of our goal. We ship a ton online too. I've shipped to.
So you can get it online because I have listeners from different continents, different states. If they want to buy Farmer's Best.
Yeah, it's www.farmersbestpopcorn.com.
All one word, all lowercase.
Yep. And you can find our stuff on there. But yeah, I've shipped to pretty much every state in the country. So
hopefully we boost those sales.
Yeah, for sure. We actually just overhauled. I'm waiting for fiance to quit her job, and she's going to help us out, and that's I'm not very techie, so she's going to tackle that and start putting some merch and other stuff on there now. Cool. But it's just our popcorn products right now, and
planning to grow it in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, when we bought the business, it was kind of just supposed to be a sideline, but it grew into I'm needing a lot more help, now. So it's more than a one-man show. So stretched pretty thin right now. It takes all I can do just to do the day-to-day stuff.
Keep it going.
Yeah, send them, pay the bills and send out the online orders and make sure we've got popcorn
Yeah.
and inventory, and then doing all the farm stuff on top of it. So yeah, it's hard for me to grow it because I can't really go out and sell when all this other stuff in the background's going on.
Go out and sell and then market too. And
Right. And I'm not a salesman, so
you let her take care of that.
yeah,
eh?
she can talk a mile a minute, and she's got the looks to be a salesman. So
Heck yeah.
I always tell her, I said, who would you rather buy a popcorn from, me or you? And so
Well, hands down, we know the answer to
yeah,
that one.
right.
John, hell yeah.
Yep.
All right,
So,
dude. Well, we're running out of time. I wanted to show the listeners here we have some options of Farmer's Best premium popcorn in the convenient microwavable. But this thing right here is my favorite. It's a giant bag of popcorn.
Yep.
And my kids, like I was telling you, they make popcorn every night with this stuff.
Yeah, I've got a couple families that buy like a 50-pound bag, like more than a month at a time. I'm like, what are you doing with all
What
this
are you doing
popcorn?
with this
Are you like selling to your friends? Or what? Like, no, we just eat it. Our family
Heck
of 5.
yeah.
It's like, how do you eat that much popcorn?
Well, you said it's low calorie.
Yeah.
Your version's the healthiest out there.
Right,
The
yeah.
Premium white popcorn.
Well, and it's yeah, better than going to grab a candy bar in the
Heck yeah.
pantry for parents. You know, they say,
Eat as much popcorn as you want,
exactly,
kids. For
yeah,
real.
it fills them up. So
For real. And when you can control this, like they eat plain popcorn, they can have cinnamon popcorn,
Right,
they can
yeah.
have butter
oh
popcorn.
yeah, a million different
Mix
things
it
you can
up.
do with it.
Heck yeah.
Yep,
Creativity is
For sure.
It's unlimited.
yep.
But without you getting out of here, I gotta take you to the firing range. If
Yeah.
you've never paid attention, it's a quick game of this or that. I give you 2 options. You pick which one speaks to you. This episode of the firing range has been brought to you by Gravy's Diner. It's located in Cedar Falls, Iowa. It's locally owned by the Graves family. It's located at 4129 University Ave, and it's open Tuesday through Sunday, 06 to 1300, or 6 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock for you non-military. It's owned by an awesome Navy vet, amazing people, great family, great kids. Check it out, Gravy's Diner, Cedar Falls, Iowa on University. John, without anything else, are you ready to rock?
I suppose, yeah.
Heck yeah. First question for today is sweet tea or lemonade?
Lemonade.
Kettle corn or popcorn?
Ooh,
It's tough. These are going to be tough, dude.
I'm gonna go with popcorn.
Planting or harvest?
Harvest.
John Deere or Case International?
Definitely John Deere.
All right, you won some fans.
I bleed green.
Bush Light or Bud Light?
Bush Light for sure.
Small. You won some fans there, too.
Yeah, well, you don't. Yeah, this is Eastern
We're in Iowa, right?
Yeah, we drink Bush Light for sure.
Small town or big city?
Small town.
Caramel flavor or butter?
Oh, butter.
Bargain buy or top shelf?
Bargain buy, I suppose. Yeah.
Favorite band concert or a dream vacation? Come on.
Oh boy. AC/DC in concert's hard to beat.
Comfort, style, or utility? Which one are you picking? What speaks to you?
Definitely utility.
Hell yeah, I thought it would, John.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on, dude.
No problem.
I appreciate you
Yeah,
taking the time.
appreciate you having me.
Yeah. If you will, share a bite of this
Yeah, for
Farmer's
sure.
Best popcorn
Absolutely.
with me, will you?
Yep.
And for you guys out there, you notice I have the World with Nate Bull. They're not available on the merchandise store yet, but pay attention and you'll be able to get them. I'll be sharing all this information about where you can purchase Farmer's Best popcorn so you can help support Iowa's small town farmers. And John, I appreciate your time, dude.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I think a lot about what you're doing, and
Awesome.
I will continue to buy the shit out of Farmer's Best popcorn.
Go for it.
Heck yeah,
We appreciate
thank
it.
Special thanks to my friend Katie Hine at Mattress by Appointment, Cedar Falls, for her sponsorship of Season 2 of The World with Nate.